So now we'll be talking about the external features. We'll talk about the external features in 4 different headings. First one is the fissures and sulcus. Second one is the spinal nerve. Third one is the enlargements or the expansions. And the fourth one is the cauda equina. So first, coming to the fissures and sulcuses. So on the upper part, so this is formed by the posteromedial sulcus. This is formed by the anteromedial fissure. This is the central canal. Okay, so this is the posterolateral sulcus. This is the other posterolateral sulcus. This is the anterolateral sulcus, and this is one more anterolateral sulcus. So this, if you divide this into 3 parts, this is the anterior surface, this is the lateral surface, and this is the posterior surface. So the posteromedium septum, it passes from the posteromedial sulcus until the spinal cord, but it does not touch the gray matter. So the spinal, there's a difference in the number of the spinal cord nerves and the cervical. So here there are 8 cervical, but here there's only 7 in the vertebral column, and there are 12 thoracic, and in all of these it's same. Thoracic, lumbar and sacral, all of the numbers are same, but in coccyx there's a huge difference of 1 and 4. So basically until the 7th cervical vertebra, you can see that all the spinal nerves, they arise above the vertebrae, but after the 7th, means after this, you can see that they arise below. As see here, it's they're all arising above. After the 7th, they're all arising below. Next we'll see so next we'll see the relations of the spinal segment. So this is very important to know, because if the patient if they suffer from the spine injury, then the doctor can know where the sensory level is exactly. So the differences between the spinal segment and the vertebral segment, if we take the upper cervical, both are C2, so both are same. Next, the lower cervical, one is C6 and one is C5, so there's a difference of 1 vertebrae above. Upper thorax, there's 2 vertebrae, lower thorax 3, lumbar 3 to 5, and sacral and coccygeal 6 to 10. So then talking about enlargement, so the normal diameter is 1.25 centimeter, and there are 2 enlargements. One is cervical and one is lumbar. Both of them are Y-shaped and they are thickened. And why both of them are thickened are, why the cervical and lumbar are the only places which are thickened are, because the cervical, it consists of brachial plexus, but the lumbar it consists of lumbar sacral plexus. Next, the cauda equina. This is nothing but the modification of the pia mater that we saw, which is also called as phylum terminalis. So the extension which pierces the coccyx, around that certain arteries are found, certain bundle of nerves is formed. This bundle of nerves is called as cauda equina. Okay, so next, when we're learning about the internal features, we learn about it by dividing it into certain parts that are dorsal and ventral. So internal features, I'll divide it into dorsal and ventral. So here, first ventral. So basically this part, in this diagram, we can see that this part, the upper part, is nothing but the nothing but the dorsal part, and the lower part is the ventral part. So we'll see the ventral part first. So the ventral part, it has 3 different groups. So one is the lateral group, one is the central group, and the last one is the medial group. Okay, so first we'll come to the lateral group. Now the lateral group, there are 3: retrodorsolateral, dorsolateral, and ventrolateral. So here we can see all the 3. So this is the retrodorsolateral, this is the dorsolateral and ventrolateral. Next, when it comes to the central group, we can see the accessory and the phrenic nuclei, and here we can see the accessory and the phrenic nuclei. Next, when it comes to the medial group, we can see dorsomedial and ventromedial. So that was the ventral group. Now if you come to the dorsal gray column, so the first the first is the posterior marginal nucleus. So after posterior marginal nucleus, it's substantia gelatinous. This is a substantia gelatinous. After that comes the nucleus proprius, and then the dorsal nucleus of the vagus. So this is the dorsal nucleus of the vagus. So an easy abbreviation for this is, please see no doctors. So this is an easy abbreviation for the dorsal gray column. And one simple thing you need to know is that in the dorsal, whatever is there in the dorsal gray column, only the nuclei. So the gray matter, all the nuclei that are present, they pass only through the gray matter, and all the tracks, they are present in the white matter. Okay, so next, so we saw the dorsal gray and the ventral gray matter. Now we are going to see how they are divided into sections. They're divided into lumens. So and one more is in between the dorsal and ventral septum, there's an intermediate zone. In the intermediate zone, we have two more, that is the intermediolateral and intermediomedial nerves. Okay, so these they're divided into 10 different sections. So the first section, it corresponds to the posterior marginal nucleus. So here these two are corresponding. Next, the second section, it corresponds to the subcutaneous gelatinous. The third and fourth section together, they are equal to the nucleus proprius. The fifth one is equal to the neck of the gray matter. So the neck of the gray matter. Sixth is to the base. So this is the base of the gray matter. Seventh corresponds to the intermediate gray zone, which is this. This is the intermediate gray zone, which has the intermediolateral and intermediomedial nerves. The eighth one is corresponding to the medial group. The ninth one is corresponding to the lateral ventral horn nucleus, which are these lateral ventral horn, and then the 10th one is nothing but the central nuclei. Now these are the number of structures that are present in the gray matter. Now we'll see what are the descending and the ascending ducts. So this part will be representing the ascending, this part will be representing the descending, and as usual, this is the dorsal part, the upper part is dorsal, lower part is ventral. So the dorsal part, so first we'll see in the dorsal part we have lateral corticospinal. The same thing in the ventral part, we have ventral corticospinal. So here's the lateral corticospinal in the dorsal part, ventral corticospinal in the ventral part. Next we have four spinal tract nucleus. So this is the rubrospinal tract, this is the oliviospinal tract, this is the ventibulospinal tract, and this is the tetraspinal tract. The tetraspinal tract and the ventibulospinal tract are rectangular in structure. Then